I am Zacchaeus Moss, and time, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Now or never. I remember growing up watching a commercial on television of a white gentleman hearing the alarm clock go off. And when that alarm clock went off, he rolled out of bed and he said to his wife, time to, well, you know the commercial, time to make the donuts. He stumbled his way through his bedroom, going through the same routine. Time to make the donuts. That's just like each one of us. That same routine, going to the same place, the same traffic, the same cubicle, the same coworkers, the same frustration. Nothing different. Excited about Friday, dreading Monday, trying to get over the hump. But is it time to do something a little bit different? You get the frustration. You get all the things that come with a job, the benefits, but there's still something missing. There's still something that you know there must be more. There is certainly more to life than just going through the same old, same old. What is that thing that's on the inside that you've been ignoring? What's that thing on the inside that you have not paid close attention to? What's that voice that's been speaking to you that you've been ignoring? It is the call to greatness. It is the call to impact. Of course, we all experienced COVID-19 and the impact. And the funny thing about COVID-19 and the impact, it forced a lot of us to dig deep and to look inwardly and really answer the call, to do that thing that we wanted to do all along, but for whatever reason, we wouldn't take the first step. So just think for a second. What if I do that thing that I was called to do? What if I answer the call? What if I move forward? That's something to think about. But when we look at the call, there's a certain anatomy of the call. The first thing is hearing the call. We think about the ears. Did you hear it clearly? What was that whisper that said, this is something that I should do? I've seen other people step out. I'm hearing their stories of greatness. I'm hearing their stories of impact. But what can I do? What voice am I listening to? Is it the voices of my mistakes? Is it the voices of my family members that say, you can't do that? You're not good enough. What is the voice that's coming out? What is the voice that you're going to listen to? That's the anatomy of the call, the ears. Next, then, there is the mouth. Speaking. What words are you releasing? When you hear the call, first, when you hear any kind of call, when somebody calls you up, you first have to answer. You must speak and say hello. You must say something. So when it comes to the call to greatness, what are you saying in response to that call that you know that's on the inside, that's saying, move forward and do that thing that you know that you're supposed to do? It starts with the mouth. There is power in our mouth and what we speak, in what we say, and what we do based on what we say. Then when it comes to another part of the anatomy of the call, you think about the eyes. How do you see yourself in the area of being great and having impact? Do you see yourself as a lowly person that can't? But when you see see this call and who you have the potential to impact, then all of a sudden, everything is so much different. It's all about vision. How do you see yourself? Do you want to see yourself in the same state that you once were? Or do you want to see yourself differently? Next, we have the heart. What's on the inside, the passion? What is that thing that you know that gives you that great feeling, that the energy to move forward, to look at that mountain, to look at that obstacle and say, I can do it. I can overcome it. Even anytime somebody calls you, depending on who the person is, there's a certain response, there's a certain reaction. So think about this. If greatness is calling you right now, when you look at the caller ID and you see greatness, what kind of response do you give it? Before you answer, think about this. Greatness has called before. Did you answer? Greatness has been in a state of call waiting, but you put it on hold. Now or never. Let's think about, now that we've looked at the anatomy of the call, let's transition to, why is the call important? Well, if it's a state that you're in now of frustration, if you're in a state of disappointment, if you're in a state of dread, if you're in a state of lack, now is certainly the time to answer the call, because you have the potential, you have all the tools, you have all the resources to now do the thing that can impact others, the thing that can impact the community, the thing that can change your economic status, the thing that can set a legacy for you. That's one of the things that makes the call important, not just for you, but more so for those that you impact. Let's think about some of the obstacles that keep us from answering the call. Sometimes it's our family relationships. Sometimes it's simply just lack of education. Sometimes it's just lack of get up and go initiative. Sometimes it's just simply the fear factor. Of course, the fear factor is the strongest thing that keeps us from doing the thing that we've been created to do. The call is important, but here's something to think about. The same energy that it takes to be fearful is also the same energy that's needed to carry out the thing that makes you great. So in other words, just as much energy that you have to be fearful, it is the same energy that you could be using to be great and to impact others. Now, we've been looking at this mountain of greatness, and we've been looking at this mountain of impact, and we've been looking at what is keeping me from moving forward. But as we look at this mountain, that time factor is present. Have you ever had a great idea in your head, and for whatever reason, you kind of didn't move on it, didn't act upon it, and then you looked at a commercial on television and you saw that, man, that's the exact same idea that I had. That's the same thing that I was thinking about doing. That thing about ideas comes to us each and every day. But the funny thing about it is that our Creator places some great aspects and ingredients inside of each one of us. It is up to each one of us to answer the call, to hear the call, because there is greatness, there is impact that is waiting on the other side of our action and taking the first step. It's a funny thing that the Bible says simply this: many are called, but few are chosen. Many are called. In other words, the call goes out to many people, but few are chosen. Now let's look at this a little bit differently. The call goes out to a lot of people, but only a few choose to take action. Now you think about the greatness, you think about the impact, and knowing that there have been so many calls that you yourself have heard. The funny thing about the call is it is a whisper oftentimes. It may even be a still small voice, but nonetheless, the more frustrated you get, it begins to get louder and louder, and it becomes more frequently. The call comes in more rapidly, and you pause and you think to yourself, what should I do? What can I do? Should I take the first step? Should I move forward? The good thing about it is, if you are being called to greatness, you won't be satisfied until you take the first step. When you're called to greatness, you won't be satisfied until you answer the call. When you're called to greatness, the frustration that you have will not dwindle. It will get stronger. But the good news is, when you turn and look and answer the call to greatness, the excitement, the exuberant, everything that you desire to have is manifested. The impact that you seek simply by answering the call, simply by answering the call to greatness. And it is a personal call. It's a private call. It comes directly to your phone, you being the smartphone, you having all the applications. It comes directly to you. But the funny thing about it is up to you to answer. Sometimes it's disguised as frustration. Sometimes it's disguised as COVID-19. But the choice is yours to decide, am I going to wait? Or am I going to consider the time factor? Because now or never. In other words, if I don't do it now, I never will. If I don't answer the call, the greatness that I am intended to fulfill will never come to pass. So the thing to look at in answering any call is who is on the other end of the call and what's going to be the result of the call. If I don't answer the call to greatness, who's going to suffer? But if I do answer the call, who's going to benefit? So in parting, don't be the one that's frustrated about moving forward. Don't have regret, but think about the time factor. It's now or never. You must answer the call to greatness. You must answer the call to impact, because your community, your family, and everybody you're connected to needs you to answer.